This conference will now be recorded.
We are discussing Power Pivot. In the Power Pivot, we are discussing first part. We know that Power Pivot have two parts. First part is data modeling. Second part is what? Enhancing the data model with the DAX language. So we are discussing the data modeling part. So far we are done with 3 hours of classes, three classes in the Power Pivot. Today's class is class number 4. What we are going to discuss in the class 4 is first, today's class is class number 4. What we are going to discuss in the class 4 is, let's see, let's open. We will discuss about these two topics. When you go to open Power BI desktop and load some tables, in the data modeling point of view, there are two topics we are pending with. One is apply security filter in both directions, and second one is what? Assume referential integrity. Let's talk about these two options. So apply security filter in both directions and assume referential integrity. First, I'll discuss about assume referential integrity. What is this assume referential integrity? What is the use of that? We'll discuss. See, if you look at here, that assume I will load some tables here from any source, whether it is a Excel or I can load some tables from either Excel or SQL Server. Fine. So for now, I'll load the tables from a SQL Server, guys. How to bring the tables from SQL Server is you can use what? Get data also. Click on get data. I want to load the tables from where? SQL Server. Select the SQL Server and provide the server name. Observe here carefully. When I am providing the server name, next thing you need to give is database name. Database name is optional here. Database name is optional. And below the database name, you will see data connectivity modes. What is that? Data connectivity modes. So I'll discuss today. In order to discuss this assume referential integrity option, we will even discuss about something called data connectivity modes. What is that? One of the important interview question. Data connectivity modes. Data connectivity modes. Data connectivity modes. So when I go and what are the data connectivity modes you have? Important direct query. What is the default one? Import. I'm going with import now. When I press OK, it will open the server and it will show the list of databases. List of databases. I want to bring the tables from a database called product database. I'll bring the tables from customers table, products table, and sales table. Three tables I'm selecting. Click on load. So we are going with the data connectivity mode. So what are the data connectivity modes you have is first default is what? Import. Second one we have is what? Direct query. So now I went with import only. So when I go with import, so what is import and what is direct query we'll see. This is one of the important interview question. What are the different data connectivity modes we have? They'll ask you in the interview. What are the data connectivity modes you have? Import and direct query. They'll ask you what is the difference between import and direct query connectivity modes. So we'll discuss both of them. Let's see now. For now, I went with import. So there is a link with this assume referential integrity and the data connectivity modes. So that is the reason we bring it here, data connectivity modes. So if you look at this assume referential integrity option, so I'll just go and remove the existing relationships and I'll try to recreate the relationship between sales data and product data. I have the relationship, I'll delete it. I'll try to recreate it. So how to create the relationship is go to where? Manage relationship, click on what? New relationship. When I go here, I need to create the relationship between product data table and what? Sales data table. What is the common column? Product key and product key. And what is the cardinality? One to many, cross filter direction is what? Single. We know all this. We're trying to understand, make this relationship active and active also we know. And we are trying to understand an option called what? Assume referential integrity. This option will be grayed out, guys. When this option will be enabled is when you go with what? Direct query. So we'll discuss what is important, what is direct query. So all the times it will be grayed out. When you go with import connectivity mode, this assume referential integrity option will be grayed out. Let me write here. Assume referential integrity option will be enabled only when you connect to the data sources using which connectivity mode? Direct query connectivity mode. First, I will write that point. Assume referential integrity will be enabled. Enable what it will do, we'll discuss later. Assume referential integrity will be enabled when we connect to the data sources. See, while connecting to the SQL server we call it as what? Data source. While connecting to the SQL server, you find two connectivity modes. One is what? Import. Second one is what? Direct query. When you connect with data sources, you will find two connectivity mode, import and direct query. Assume referential integrity will be enabled when we connect to the data source. When you connect to the data source using direct query connectivity mode. Using what? Direct query connectivity mode. Connectivity mode. Okay. So first, as it will be enabled when you connect using direct query connectivity mode, I'll discuss first import and direct query. What is important? What is direct query? Now you connected to the SQL server now using which connectivity mode you connected now? Import. I'll open another Power BI file. In another Power BI file, I'll connect using what? Direct query. And then I'll explain the difference. I'll just go and open another Power BI file here. Another Power BI file. And I'll connect to the SQL server this time with direct query connectivity mode. So while connecting to the SQL server, we have two data connectivity modes. Import. What import will contains is import connectivity mode will contains table definition plus data. Table definition. Table definition is nothing but metadata. What is that? Metadata. Metadata as well as what? It will even contains data. See here. Uh, so first, let me connect with direct query. I'm in the second report now. I'll connect to the SQL server this time. I'll give the server name here, but I'll go with the connectivity mode called what? Direct query. I'll just go and give the server name. This is the server to which I want to connect. But while connecting to the SQL server, previously I connected using import. This time I'm planning to connect what? Direct query. When I press OK, it will open the server and it will show the list of tables. List of tables. Look at here. I will bring the tables from same product database. Which tables? Customers, products, sales. Click on what? Load. Click on load. Now you are bringing the tables using a connectivity mode called direct query. So we said that when you go with import, you'll have metadata plus data. When you go with direct query, you'll have only metadata. Direct query tables will have only what? Metadata. What is the meaning is, look at here. So I'm in, this one is import one, guys. When you go to import one, when I go and check the table, table will contains metadata. Column names are nothing but what? Metadata or table definitions. It will have metadata as well as it will even have what? It will even have the data in it. But when you go with in the second file, in the second one, we are going with which storage mode? Direct query. This is the second Power BI file. The first Power BI file, you can see we are going with import. It is not writing here. It will write when it is direct query, it will write. Currently, when you go with import, the tables will have metadata as well as what? Data. But when you go with a connectivity mode called direct query, so the tables will contain only metadata. So direct query tables on the top, you will see one blue color here. So when you even hover here, So you can see storage mode is what here? Direct query. Direct query tables will have only metadata. If you look at here, this table is which connectivity mode. When I hover here, what is the storage mode? Import. Import tables will have metadata plus what? Data. Direct query tables, if you observe how many views you are seeing now, model view, data view, report view. When it is which mode? Import. When it is direct query, look at here. This is what? Direct query, right? Direct query connectivity mode. How many views you are seeing? Model view, da- report view. Which view is missing here? Data view. Why data view is missing means I said that direct query tables will have only metadata. It will not have what in it? Data. Now I'll save both this, right? I'll save data set. You are preparing one data set. You bought some tables using import and direct query. I'll save both the files and I'll ask you one question here. I'm saving the import file desktop. I'll give the name as import data set. You are preparing one data set. You connected with which connectivity mode? Import. I just giving the name called import. Now second one, we connected to this tables using what? Direct query. I'll save this file in the desktop. I'll give it as direct query, guys. Direct query. So click on save. Now tell me, you save two files in the desktop. One is import, second one is direct query. Now tell me out of these two files, which file will have more size? Import will have more size or direct query will have more size? Import.
Import.
Why? Because it will contains both
Import.
metadata plus what?
Metadata plus data.
Metadata
Hmm.
plus data.
Yes, sir. But the second one will contain only metadata. Let's check it. Go to right click on it and same tables we bought it. When I click on properties, what is the size you have is for around 440 KB, around 430 or 440 KB. Now go here, right click on it. When I click on properties, what is the size? So we are seeing right lot of difference here. It will contains only metadata, only column names. It contains metadata plus data. It will be more size. So now understand here, when you can go and create the visuals using import data set. You prepare this data set using import. You can even go and create what here? Visuals. When you create the visuals, on top of import data set, when you create the visuals, it will take the data from Power Pivot and it will show it. When you create the visuals on import data set, see, we understand, guys. When you go and prepare data set with import, it will contain table definitions and what? Data. So when you go and create a report, report will take the data from Power Pivot, guys. When you create a report, report will take the data, create a report. It will take the data from Power Pivot. It will take data from Power Pivot. So understand here, I prepared a data set using which connectivity mode? Import. When you prepare a data set with the import mode, the tables will contain what? Table definition as well as data. As the tables have data, when you create a report, it will take the data from where? Power Pivot itself. Second one is what? Direct query data set. When you prepare a direct query data set, tables will contain what? Only metadata. When you create a report on top of it, create a report on top of it, the report will take the data from data sources. It will take the data from where? Data sources. It will take data from data sources. What it means is, understand an important point. When you go and create one card visual now, I'm creating a visual on which data set now? Import. When I go and drag a sales column, sales amount column, tell me it will go and bring the sales amount column from Power Pivot or SQL Server? Power Pivot. Why? Because it's an import data set. Tables will have metadata plus data. So when I drag the sales amount, within few seconds it will show the sales amount here. The second one is, you are creating the same sales amount here on direct query data set. When I take one card visual, when I go and place the sales amount column Will it, when I drag the sales amount column, will it go and bring it from Power Pivot, or will it bring it from SQL Server? SQL Server. So it will go and bring it from SQL Server. Which one is fast? So tell me, when you create the report on import dataset is fast or direct query is faster? Import dataset. Import dataset will take the data from Power Pivot. It is much faster than what? Direct query. Then when we will go with direct query means, so there is a limitation in Power BI, guys. What is the limitation? Maximum data set size we can build in the Power Pivot is 10 GB, guys. What is the data? Let's say if you have 100 GB data in the sources, when you load 100 GB data into Power Pivot, the size will come to what? 10 GB. 100 GB data, when you load it, it will compress till 1 by 10th of source data. It will come to 10 GB. Let's say my client is asking to analyze 200 GB data. 200 GB data. When I load 200 GB data into Power Pivot, the data size will come to what? 20 GB. So unfortunately, Power BI will not, this Power BI service will not support a data set with how much GB? 20 GB. Maximum how much GB data set it can support? 10 GB. Now, when you have huge volumes of data, import connectivity mode will not work. When I go with import connectivity mode, it will bring table definitions as well as what? Data also. When you get the data, it will occupy more space. But even when you have huge volumes of data, instead of connecting with import, you have another option called what? Direct query. When you connect with direct query from the sources, it will not bring what? Data. It will bring only what? Metadata. When you use that metadata to create the reports, it will not take the data report from where? Power Pivot. It will directly take the data from where? SQL Server. So when you go with direct query, you can even analyze 1,000 GB data also here. Let's say you have 1,000 GB data. So when you even have 1,000 GB data, you can connect to this data source in which connectivity mode? Direct query. Direct query will bring only what? Metadata. When you bring only metadata, it will be hardly 30 KB or 40 KB. It is just hardly 40 KB or 30 KB. So even with this metadata, when you generate a report, that Power View will go to SQL Server and bring the data, and it will show the data. So two things, guys, here. When you need to go with import data set means when you have less data, or when you can manage up to 100 GB data, I can go with what? Import 100 GB. So it will create a data set with 10 GB. When to go with direct query? Whenever we need to analyze huge volumes of data, whenever we need to analyze huge volumes of data, huge volumes of data, we'll go with what? Direct query. We'll go with direct query. So they will ask you a couple of questions, guys. What is import connectivity mode? Import connectivity mode, you need to tell import. When you prepare a data set with import connectivity mode, the data set will contain metadata plus data. When you prepare a data set with direct query connectivity mode, it will contain only metadata. Next question they'll ask you is when to go with direct query. Whenever we need to analyze what? Huge volumes of data, will go with what? Direct query. Why? Because import will hardly support how much data. When you prepare a data set with import, Power BI will support hardly how much? 10 GB data set. That means how much data you can load from sources means 100 GB, right? And the second one they'll ask you is which data set will give better performance? Import data set will give better performance, or direct means import? Which data set will give better performance? Which connectivity mode will give better performance? So which connectivity mode will give better performance is one important question again. Which connectivity mode will give better performance means
Import
always
method.
import, right? So direct query, why import will give better performance means when you create a report on import, it will take the data from Power Pivot. Power Pivot will give much performance than going to data source and bringing the data. Simple, guys. So when you create a data set with direct query, when you create a report using it, this Power View will go through Power Pivot till SQL Server, bring the data and show the data in where? Report. Going to SQL Server, bringing the data, showing the data in the report will take time. When you connect with import, you will get data here. When you create a visual, it will just take the data from PowerPoint and it will show it much faster, much faster, right? Now, okay. Now, if you observe here, uh, we are in which connectivity mode here? Direct query, right? So direct query. Now go and check this connection now. How to edit this relationship? When you double click on it, it will edit. When I double click on it, go and check it now. Assume referential integrity option was enabled or not now? Yes. I already said that assume referential integrity option will be enabled for what? Direct query. When you bring the tables using direct query, then only it will enable. So previously we check it here. You bought these tables with import. When I go and click on it, is this option enabled means grayed out. So now let's understand what that option will do. We understand when that option will be enabled. To explain that option in a better way, I'll bring two tables, guys. To explain that option, what it will do, assume referential integrity option, what it will do to explain this assume referential integrity option, what I will do is I'll bring some two sample tables from same SQL server. Click on get data from where? SQL server. Let's provide the server name. I'm connecting to SQL server again, and this time, which connectivity mode I'm going with? That when I go with direct query mode, then only that option will be enabled. Direct query mode, and this time I'll bring the tables from what? Employee database, guys. Just to make to explain that option how it will work. I'm going and bringing from. So just press OK, guys. You are trying to bring the data from two different databases. It is telling that as you are bringing the data from two different databases, it is telling that there is a potential security risk. No worries. Press OK. When you press OK, you are going and getting the tables from another database now. Employee database. With which connectivity mode you are bringing these tables? Direct query. Into the tables, what you will get? Only metadata. You will not get what? Data. You will not get data. Let's see. Fine. When you go and check it, you got the tables. Better you can give the relationship between these tables based on department number and department number. And just press OK. You got the relationship. Between these two tables, you can give the relationship based on what? Manager and manager. Press OK. Now go and check it, guys. When you check it, is this option got enabled or not? Right. So when I go and create the visual using these two tables, I'm going to create a visual using these two tables, guys. When I create a visual using these two tables now, uh, will the visual get the data from Power Pivot or source? Right. When you create a visual using these two direct query tables, it will bring the data from where? Source. No doubt in it. Why? Because it is direct query. When I go to report view, when I try to create one visual here, when I try to drag employee name and when I try to drag location, it will go and bring the data. When I try to drag employee name here, when I go and drag location here, what Power BI will do is, what Power View will do is, with that columns, it will write one query. That query will fire in SQL Server employee database. That query will fire in where? SQL Server employee database, and the result it will bring it and it will show it in where? Visual. It will show it in the visual. So default what query it will write is left outer join query it will write. Default which join which query it will write. See, now you want to bring the call data from two different tables. When you want to bring the data from two different tables in database, when you want to bring the data from two different tables, what you need to use? Joins. If you remember, I need to take employee name and location. In the database, I need to take employee name and location. When I want to take employee name and location, employee name is in which table? Here, I'm clicking on new query. I want to see the data in the employee tables. I want to bring the data from employee database, but this time I want to bring select two columns I need. One is what? Employee name. Second column is what? Location from EMP. So if you go, now you need to use what? When you want to ename column is from which table? Employee table. Location column is from which table? department table. Whenever we need to bring the data from two tables, what you need to use? Must and should you need to use joins. EMP by default it will perform left outer join, guys. Left outer join what? DEPT. What is the join condition? On EMP dot department number equal to DEPT dot department number. So when I run this, when I execute it, so it will show employee name as well as what? Location. We are seeing employee name as well as their location. So two tables, you are using the joins. So here, how many rows you got for left outer join? So for all the employees, we have their locations. One of the employee doesn't have their location, it is still showing. Why it is showing still when there is no location? Left outer join. Left outer join will give matching records plus non-matching from left side table. Left side table. Instead of left outer join, when I go and perform inner join, how many records you will get is inner join will give what? Only matching records. When I go and run this inner join query here, it is giving how many records means only 14 records you will get it. This is left outer join query. When I execute it, right, let it go. Here also, when you create a visual using EMP table and DEPT table, so it will write a query. We are telling that I'm trying to drag which column here? Employee name. I'm trying to drag which column from here? Location. So employee name and location, what power we will do is it will write one query and it will find that query in where means SQL server and it will bring it. Which query it will fire means left outer join query is. By default it will find which query? Left outer join. Left outer join will give matching records as well as non-matching record. It will show what value? Null value. Null value. So here, if you go and see this query, how many rows you have? Inner join query, 14 rows. Left outer join, 15 rows. Okay. Now just observe carefully here. You can check it what query it is writing. Go to the view tab, performance analyzer, start recording, refresh the visual. Now go and check the query. When you copy the query and when you check the query, it will be writing by default which query means which query? Left outer join query. It will write a left outer join query. Okay, by default. Instead of writing a left outer join query, we can ask to write the inner join queries. Tell me, out of left outer join and inner join, which one is faster? Left outer join is faster or inner join is faster? Inner join is faster. Why inner join is faster rather than left outer join means inner join will give what? Only matching records. Left outer join will give what? It will not only give matching records, it will even check what? Non-matching records from left side table. So just checking only matching records, let's say it is taking 10 seconds of time. Left outer join to check matching records plus non-matching record from left side table, 10 plus additional 2 to 3 seconds it will take, no doubt in it. That means when compared to inner join, which join will take more time? Left outer join.
Yes.
So especially when you prepare a data set with direct query, you need to be careful with performance. Why? When you create the visuals using direct query, it will go to the SQL server, it will bring the data and it will show the data. It takes time going to here, bringing the data and showing the data. So in order to improve the performance there, so what you can do is there are some times where the tables will have only matching records. There are sometimes tables will have what? Now in my employee table and DEPT table, you have matching records as well as non-matching records. What you have? In employee tables, matching records as well as non-matching records. That time, better to go with left outer join only. No doubt in it. There are some times in the sources, you will have only matching records. You will have what? Only matching records in the tables. There are sometimes only matching records is there. When you have only matching records, whether you run left outer join query or whether you run inner join query, will the output same or not? Yes. Let's say in the tables, if you have only matching records, I don't have any non-matching records. Whether left outer join query or inner join query, the output number of rows will be same. But performance, inner join will give fast. Inner join will give fast. So here, same story. When you connect with the direct query with the data sources, there are sometimes the tables will have only what records? matching records. That time better to write what type of queries? Inner join queries. Better to write what? Inner join queries rather than what? Left. But Power BI by default it will write which queries? Left outer join. If you know that if a data source tables contains only matching records, even though it contains only matching records, Power BI will show what? Left outer join. So if you perform left outer join, it will take more time. To avoid this left outer join, to run inner join query, you can check this checkbox, guys. What is the purpose of this checkbox is when the checkbox is not selected, when this checkbox is not selected, it will do EMP left outer join what? DEP table. So if you have both EMP table and DEP table only matching records, if you want to improve the performance, better to check this box. Better to check this box. Look at this now. I'll delete this relationship one. I'll delete this visual one more time. We observed it. In this case, which join it is writing? Left outer join. So I'll just delete this visual one more time. And this time, let's say these two tables have only matching records in the source. When you have only matching records, better to fire which query? Inner join. How to write the inner join query is edit the relationship, go and check which option, assume referential integrity. So, but it will give a warning message, guys. What is the warning message it is giving is assume referential integrity. It is set, but there are rows in the EMP table with a matching row in the DEPT table. So there are some extra rows. If you observe in EMP table, there is one employee with a name called water. Sunil, which is water. Non-matching in the DEPT table. It is giving one warning message. So when you click on assume referential integrity, it will perform what join between these two tables? Inner. When you perform inner join, you will miss which record? Sunil record. So when you need to perform, select this assume referential integrity is only when you have matching records. For now, I selected it. Don't bother. For now, I selected it. Now tell me, when I go and create the visual using this EMP table and DEPT table, what join it will perform? I'm just going to take ename and I'm just going to show take location. Which join? Inner join. Are you getting Sunil record now? No. So why? Because you selected which option here? Assume referential integrity. When you check this box, it will perform which join? Inner join. Let me check it whether it is performing inner join or not. Go to the view, performance analyzer, start recording, refresh the visuals. You can go and check it. No doubt this query will execute fast. When I go and copy this query here, it is performing what join? In the previous case, it performed what join? Left outer join. Which join will give better performance? Let's say you are connecting to SQL Server using direct query. In the SQL Server, all the tables have only matching records. In the reports also, client is expecting only matching records. Then better to bring the tables and click on which option here? Assume referential integrity option. Assume referential integrity option. Let me write here. So first point we need to understand is assume referential integrity will be enabled when we connect to the data source using what? Direct query connectivity mode. When this assume referential integrity option is not selected, it will perform which join? Left outer join. When assume referential integrity option is not selected, it will perform left outer join. Perform left outer join. When you go and check the when assume referential integrity option is selected, when assume referential integrity option is selected, option is selected, it will perform what join? It will perform inner join. Inner join. Which one will give better performance? No doubt inner join will give better performance than left outer join. Inner join will give. So now you will not see the much difference, guys. Why? Because you have hardly tens of records. In the real time, millions of records are there. When you have millions of records, when you perform left outer join, it takes more time than where? Inner join. Inner join will give better performance than left outer join. Left outer join. And another point is when you need to check these boxes when you connect with the data sources in the direct query mode, and if you know your sources have only matching records, or if your client is expecting to see only matching records in the visuals, then better to go and check this box, which will improve your performance, right? So one point here, very rarely we will check this assume referential integrity. First of all, mostly we will prepare the data set in Power BI using which connectivity mode? import only. Mostly. Why we will go with import means better performance. Very rarely we will go with what? Direct query. In direct query also mostly client will expect to see matching records plus non-matching records from where? Left side table. That time what is the join we need to perform? Even when I discuss joins in the Power Query, I said that most of the times clients will expect to see which output? Left outer join output I said it. So most of the times here also visuals also left outer join. There are some exceptional cases. Tables might have only matching records or clients might be expecting to see only matching records in the reports. And if your connectivity mode direct query, then go and check that box, right? So even they don't ask about this option in the interviews. So most of the people even they don't know what this option might be doing. So you don't bother about it. Just have an idea what it will do in the interview point of view. So in the data modeling part, so this assume referential integrity or apply security filter in both directions, they will be used rarely. But just we are trying to understand, guys, what it will do. Okay, fine. We are done with understanding which option. Assume referential. So they might ask you one indirect question. So when you connect with direct query, or when you create a data set with direct query mode, how can you improve the report performance? How can you improve the report performance means you can tell them, go and check the checkbox called what? Assume referential integrity, which will improve the performance. So one question they're asking these days indirectly means how you can improve the performance of the report which was created on direct query dataset, which was created on direct query dataset. For this, you need to tell check which box, check assume referential integrity option. They might cross check. When you check this assume referential integrity option, you can tell that you can improve the performance of the report. You can ask them how it will improve the performance means when you check this option, it will perform which join? Inner join. That inner join will give better performance. When you don't check it, left outer join. When you check it, inner join. Right. The next option we will try to understand is once after assume referential integrity, we'll try to understand about an option called what? Apply security filter in both direction. Let me close this two files. I'll open a new file. I don't want to confuse. I will open a new file here to explain the next option. We call it as apply security filter in both direction. So might be in order to understand this option, you need to have a knowledge on row level security concept case. We need to have a knowledge on which concept? Row level security. Row level security is one of the important topic which will be covered in where? Power BI service. So if you look at our course content, in course content we have one topic in the Power BI service. A topic name is row level security, guys. Row level security. Row level security. One of the important topic. Right. So don't worry. I'll try to explain what this apply security filter in both directions. So to understand this concept, you need to have a basic idea about what? Row level security. I'll just first give a basic idea about row level security and then I'll explain about apply security filter in both directions. But about this row level security in the Power BI service, we will be discussing for 60 minutes of time extensively. How much time we'll discuss? 60 minutes. That time you'll even get more idea about this row level security. For now, just to make you understand this option, I'll talk first row level security and then I'll talk about it. So here also you have something called what? Security. Apply security filter in both directions. So there are sometimes what happens is we'll generate one report, guys. What is this row level security is we'll generate same report. We'll generate one report. When you create a report might have 4 regions data. We'll create a report. So that report is having how many regions data? 4 regions data. Let's say I'm trying to explain what this row level security will do. 4 regions data. When you share the report, I'll share the report with central manager. When you share the report with central manager need to see only central data. Which data he need to see? So, but report is having how many regions data? Even though report is having 4 regions data, when the same report when you share with central manager, out of 4 regions, he need to see what? Only his region. He don't want to see remaining 3 regions data. The same report when I shared with, so this report is again having 4 regions. When I share the same report, share the report with East Manager. Now I'm sharing with what? East Manager. When I share the report with East Manager, he want to see what data? East data. But report is having how many regions data? 4. In order to see only East data, you need to incorporate what there? Row level security. So where we will discuss this concept extensively in the Power BI service. For now, understand, I'll write one point. When report contains complete data, when we share the report with the client, based on the access they have, they need to see subset of data. When report contains complete data, and when we share the report with the clients, when we share report with clients, based on the access they have, they need to see the subset of data. Based on the access they have, they need to see subset of data. They need to see subset of data. For this, to achieve this, we need to implement what? Right. To achieve the above requirement, achieve the above requirement, we need to implement what? Row level security. Right. So we'll do the same thing now. I'll try to create one report using EMP, DEPT, managers table. We'll create the report now using what tables? EMP, DEPT, manager. By default, I'll show all the data. In the report, I will show what? All the data, but all the managers data. When I share that report with one of the manager, King, he want to see only the data related to King. When I share the same report with one of the manager called Clark or something, he need to see only the data which is belongs to Clark. So King will have only few employees, right? So only that King related employees data he need to see. So now just observe carefully. I'm going to create one report now. So what tables I'll bring? Either you can take it from Excel or SQL Server, anything is same. I'm going to bring the tables from where Excel now, from the Excel, which tables you'll bring the tables? EMP, DPT, manager. I'll create a report. I'll create a report here using these 3 tables. In the report, I'll try to show data for all the employees by default. I'll create one report here where I'll show all the employee related data. So I bought the tables and I have some relationships here. I have some relationships here. Now what I'll try to do is I'll try to create some visuals using these tables. I'll just create one visual in between which contains data from EMP table. I'll take employee name, salary, commission, department number. Employee name, salary, commission, department number. Employee name, salary, commission, department number. By default, report will show all the data. What data it is showing? Complete data it is showing. And I'll just go and create how many employees it might be showing now? All 15 employees. I'll just go and create another visual here. In that another visual, I'll try to take the data from a table called department table. Take an example. I'm taking a department table. I'm going to drag department number, DNAME and location. Just roughly, I'm taking department number, DNAME and what? Location. You are taking department number, DNAME and location, guys. Now, by default, it will show all the data again, all the data. And I'll create another visual here. In another visual, I want to see manager data, manager name. Another visual, I need to select what? Manager name. When I go and select the manager name, so you can see all the managers. Yesterday, we discussed about something called cross filter direction, single and both. Understand here, yesterday, when I go and select any location here, it will show that location related employees here, and it will not show corresponding managers. When I go and click on New York, what it is showing here? New York related employees. But here it is showing what? All the managers. So instead of showing all the managers, if you want to show only the managers which are working under New York, how can you show? Means you need to send, you need to set it what? Both. Yesterday we seen it. We need to set it what? Both. Or else, if you go and select one manager, so when you go and select one manager, it is showing only for this manager who are the employees working. But that employees are working for only which department? 30th department. Here it need to show what? Only 30th department. But it is showing complete data here. When I go and click on Blake, Blake is working for how many employees? He's the manager for how many employees means? 5 employees. It is filtering. But in this visual, he's working for only 30th department employees. But it is showing all the departments. If you want to show only this, how to show it? You need to go and change it what? Cross filter direction what? Both. When I go and press OK, when you select cross filter direction both, now just look at here. When I go and click on Blake, Blake, 5 employees are working. That 5 employees are working for which location? Sales and Chicago. So okay, we understand cross filter direction. Now this report, I said that when to implement row level security. When report contains what? Complete data. When we share the report with the clients, based on the access they have, they need to see what? Subset of data. I'm developing one report here. This report contains all managers data currently. How many managers data you have? All managers data. When I share this report with Blake, you need to see the Blake related employees for which locations they are working. When I go and select Clark, you need to see Clark related employees and for which locations that employees are working. So in order to see that, we need to incorporate what here? Row level security. So you don't bother about row level security. In Power BI service, I will even discuss 1 hour of time how we will implement it. For now, just understand at a high level. Now, how to create implement row level security is you need to go to modeling. You need to create the roles, guys. You need to create what? Manage roles. In this, you need to create the roles. Who is the first manager you have? Blake. So I'll just give the manager name as what? Blake. When I add someone to this Blake, you need to see only which manager data. You need to apply a filter on manager name equal to Blake, guys. What is the manager name? Blake. So like this, you need to create the roles. Where you can understand this extensively means in the Power BI service. For now, you just blindly follow the steps. I'll create another manager. Who is the second manager? Clark. So you'll write Clark. When you add someone to this role, they want to see which manager data. Only manager name equal to what? Clark. We need to create all the roles. For now, we are fine. We need to create all the roles. So once you create the roles, whether that roles are working or not, you need to create the roles for what? Ford, Jones, King, Scott. For now, I just created only few roles. Remaining roles also you need to create. I don't want to waste the time. Now, whether that roles are working as expected or not, I need to check it, guys. When I go to view as, so first I will go and check the which role? Blake. When I go and select Blake, how many employees are there? 5. How all that 5 employees are working for which location? 30. When I go and click on Clark, how many employees are working for under Clark? Only Miller. Which department? 10th. 10th is what? Accounting. It is filtering. So visual interactions are working. But when I go and click on this roles, when I go and click on Blake, when I press OK, when I click on Blake related employees, it is filtering. Is it filtering here? No. So why it is not filtering means you have cross filter direction both also. Even though you have cross filter direction both, it will not work, guys. One more thing you need to do is you need to go and check that another checkbox called what? Apply security filter in both direction. Simple. So uh, whenever we implemented row level security, so whenever we need to implement row level security, and when you want to pass the filter condition from EMP table to DEPT table, not only selecting cross filter direction both, you need to even select what? Apply security filter in both directions. When you need to select apply security filter in both directions means only when you are implementing what? Row level security. In the manage roles, when you go to manage roles, when you create this, that means you are implementing what here means a concept called row level security. When you're going and implementing row level security, so only cross filter direction both is not sufficient. Along with cross filter direction both, must and should you need to check what? Apply security filter in both directions. If you are not implementing row level security, only both is sufficient. You are not supposed to go and select what? Apply security filter in both direction. But now in this report, I not only want to pass the filter condition from EMP table to DEPT table, I want to even work this model for which concept? Row level security. In order to work this model for row level security, now what I observe is when I create a role, when I try to check this role is filtering the data successfully in this visual, but not in where? This visual. In order to even filter this data in this visual, you need to go and check on which option here? Apply security filter in both directions. So let me stop viewing. So I can first go and select apply security filter in both direction. When I select this checkbox, now I'll go and test my roles. Will the roles work now? Previously it is not working. When I go and click on view as, when I click on Blake, when I press OK, it is filtering the data here as well as here. Yes or no? Same. If you go and test another role here, Clark, it is filtering here, 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 everywhere, right? So it is working, guys. So keep in mind when you need to go and check this apply security filter in both directions is when you implemented a concept called what? Row level security. Even in the row level security also, whenever we need to pass the filter condition from many side table to one side table, by default filter condition will pass from where? One to many. There are sometimes to get the report requirement you might need to pass to where? Many to one. To pass many to one, many to one, which cross filter direction you'll choose? Both. You not only want to go and choose cross filter direction both. When you implement row level security, you need to even go and check which box? Apply security filter in both direction. Simple. So this apply security filter is belongs to which cross filter direction? Both. When you need to go with cross filter direction both, to pass the filter condition from where? Many side table to one side table. There are sometimes to achieve your requirement you need to pass the filter condition with many side table to one so in that requirement you are even incorporating what there? Row level security. That time you need to go and check this checkbox, guys, right? This is all about these two options, right? Fine. So we are done with understanding all the options here. If you see, let me delete these relationships and recreate them between EMP table and DEP table. Manage relationship. Click on new relationship. In this table, you have idea about all the options, guys. Selecting the tables first, and then selecting the common columns, and then selecting the cardinality. We know when to choose which cardinality, and cross filter direction, single and both we discussed, and make this relationship active and inactive. How it will work we discussed. Apply security filter in both direction. What is the purpose of it? Assume referential integrity. What is the purpose of it? So when the assume referential integrity option will be enabled means direct query. When apply security filter in both directions will be enabled means when you go with both. When you go with single, will it enable means no. When you go with single, it will not enable. When you go with what? Only both, then it will be enabled. Right. So not only both, when we will check this box, when you implement what? Row level security. Sometimes when you are not implementing row level security, is it necessary to check this? No need. Both is sufficient. Both is sufficient. Right. That is all about the data modeling here, guys.